The desert was merciless. The Apache woman collapsed onto her knees, the burning sand cutting into her skin like fire. Her breath came in broken gasps, lips cracked, eyes wide with terror. She had been running for days, no water, no shelter, no mercy. The Wild West showed no kindness to the hunted. Behind her, a horse snorted. She froze. Slowly she looked up. A cowboy sat tall on his horse, revolver aimed directly at her chest. His shadow stretched long across the sand, dark and unforgiving. One pull of the trigger and her suffering would end. She raised her trembling hands. "Don't shoot," she whispered. Her voice was weak, but the fear inside it was real, too real to fake. The cowboy didn't move. His face was hardened by years of dust, death, and disappointment. In this land, mercy often got you killed. He had learned that lesson the hard way. "What are you running from?" he asked coldly. She swallowed hard, her throat burned. "Men," she said, "men who think I am property." The cowboy's eyes narrowed. She looked down at the ground, shame heavy on her shoulders. "They sold me," she continued. "I escaped. They're hunting me now." A gust of wind blew through the desert, carrying distant sounds, hoofbeats. The cowboy heard them too. He glanced toward the horizon. She followed his eyes and panic surged. "Please," she said quickly, "I don't want to die here." Her fingers dug into the sand, as if the earth itself might protect her. "I'll do anything," she whispered. Then desperate words slipped from her lips, words she never thought she would say. "Let me live, and I'll give you a family." The cowboy stiffened. That word hit deeper than any bullet. Family. He hadn't heard it spoken to him in years. His wife and child were buried somewhere far from this cursed land. Since then, the Wild West had given him only silence and ghosts. "You think life is a bargain?" he asked. She shook her head violently. "No, I think life is a miracle, and I don't want mine taken." Her eyes met his, no lies, no manipulation, only survival. The horse shifted beneath him. The revolver trembled slightly. Behind them, dust clouds grew larger. The hunters were close. The cowboy cursed under his breath. "Get up," he said sharply. She flinched, fear flooding back. "You're going to kill me." "No," he snapped. "I'm going to save you if you don't slow me down." Her eyes widened in disbelief. "Get on the horse now." She scrambled to her feet, weak but determined. As he pulled her up, the sound of gunfire cracked through the air behind them. The cowboy kicked the horse forward. As they raced across the open desert, the Apache woman clung tightly, heart pounding, not just with fear but with something dangerous. Hope. Because in the Wild West, mercy was rare. And she had just found it at the barrel of a gun. The horse thundered across the desert, hooves striking the ground like warning drums. The Apache woman clung to the cowboy's coat, every breath a battle. Wind burned her eyes, but she didn't look back. She already knew what followed. Gunshots echoed behind them. "Hold on," the cowboy shouted. She tightened her grip as the horse leapt over cracked earth and dry brush. Her body screamed in pain, but fear pushed her forward. For days she had been prey. Tonight she was escaping. The cowboy glanced over his shoulder. 3 riders, armed, relentless. "Who are they?" he demanded. "Traitors," she answered between gasps. "They bought me, then I ran." His jaw hardened, not buying that kind of trouble. They reached a narrow canyon just as the sun dipped low. The cowboy pulled the reins sharply, guiding the horse into the rocks. Gunfire followed, bullets striking stone. "Get down," he ordered. They slid off the horse and pressed against the canyon wall. Dust filled the air. The Apache woman's hands shook uncontrollably. "My name is Ayana," she whispered, "in case I die." The cowboy paused, then said, "Ethan." Footsteps approached. One of the hunters dismounted, confident. Ethan waited. When the man came close, Ethan struck fast, knocking him unconscious with the butt of his gun. The remaining riders cursed and retreated, choosing caution over courage. Silence returned. Yana sank to the ground, tears streaking her dirt-covered face. "You didn't have to help me." Ethan reloaded his revolver. "Didn't help, I chose." They rode again under starlight until they reached a small, hidden ranch. A single cabin stood alone, forgotten by the world. "You can rest here," Ethan said, "just for the night." Inside, Ayanna hesitated. "You could turn me in, there's money." Ethan looked away. "I've buried enough things for money." He placed food on the table and stepped outside. "I'll keep watch," he said. "You lock the door." She did. That night, Ayanna lay on the floor, staring at the ceiling. For the first time in weeks, no chains waited for her in the dark. No hands reached for her. Outside, Ethan watched the horizon, haunted by his choice. Helping her meant war with men who believed ownership was law. But when he heard her quiet sob through the cabin wall, he knew something had already changed. The Wild West was cruel. But tonight it had spared two broken souls and tied their fates together. Morning arrived slowly. Yana woke before the sun, her body tense, breath shallow. For a moment she didn't know where she was. Then the smell of wood smoke reached her and she remembered the horse, the gunfire, the cowboy who didn't pull the trigger. She sat up listening. Outside someone moved carefully. Not heavy boots, not shouting, just quiet purpose. The door remained locked. That mattered. When it finally opened, Ethan stepped inside with his hands visible. "You hungry?" he asked. She nodded, unsure if her voice would work. He set down a tin plate with bread and beans, then took a step back. "Eat, I'll be outside." No one had ever given her food and space at the same time. As she ate, her hands shook, not from hunger but from relief. Ethan watched from the doorway, saying nothing. He noticed the scars on her wrists. He didn't ask. Later he showed her the ranch. It was small and isolated, hidden by rocks and scrub. "Hard to find unless you're looking," he said. "I don't want to be found," Yana replied. He nodded. "Neither do I." The day passed quietly. She helped fetch water, learned the names of things in English. Each word felt like a small step back into the world. At midday, Ethan returned from checking the perimeter, his face dark. "Tracks from last night." Fear returned instantly. "They're coming." "Maybe," he said, "maybe not today." She swallowed hard. "You should send me away." Ethan met her gaze. "Running won't save you, it just delays the hurt." That night the wind howled across the land. Yana couldn't sleep. Memories crept in, the men, the chains, the way freedom had been priced. She sat by the fire, knees drawn to her chest. Ethan noticed. "You don't have to talk," he said. "I know," she replied, "but I want to." She told him about being sold, about how her voice didn't matter, about learning to disappear to survive. Ethan listened. He didn't interrupt. "I said I'd give you a family," she whispered. "I didn't mean ownership, I meant loyalty." Ethan stared into the fire. "Family isn't something you trade for safety," he said. "It's something you choose." She looked at him, hope flickering carefully. The silence between them changed. Outside, coyotes cried. Somewhere far away, men still hunted. But inside the cabin, something rare existed: trust. Still fragile. Still dangerous. Before sleeping, Ethan placed a knife beside her bed. "In case," he said. Not because he feared her, but because he respected her. And in the unforgiving Wild West, respect was the beginning of freedom. The silence shattered at dawn. Yana felt it before she heard it, the vibration in the ground, the warning in the air. She stepped out of the cabin, eyes scanning the horizon. Then she saw it. Dust. A long, thin trail rising behind the hills. Her chest tightened. "They're here." Ethan was already moving. He checked his rifle, then looked at her. "Inside, now." I won't hide, she said, her voice shaking but firm. Ethan paused. Then you listen and you stay alive. Hooves thundered closer. 3 men rode into view, rifles slung casually, confidence written on their faces. Men who believed the world owed them obedience. The leader dismounted. You got something that belongs to us. Gianna stepped forward before Ethan could stop her. I belong to myself. The men laughed. Ethan raised his gun. Turn around. One of them reached for his weapon. The first shot exploded through the morning air. Chaos followed. Gianna dropped to the ground as bullets tore through wood and dirt. Ethan fired from behind a post, precise and controlled. 1 man fell from his horse screaming. Another charged. Gianna grabbed the rifle Ethan had given her days earlier. Her hands shook, but she remembered his lessons. Breathe, aim, decide. She fired. The man went down. Silence fell hard and sudden. The 3rd hunter stared in disbelief, then fled. Gianna collapsed to her knees, gasping. Ethan rushed to her side. You all right? She nodded, tears mixing with dust. I didn't want to kill anyone. Neither did I, Ethan replied, but wanting doesn't stop them. They dragged the wounded men away and burned the tracks. Ethan moved quickly, urgency replacing calm. This changes things, he said. They won't stop now. Gianna knew he was right. The past didn't die quietly. That night she couldn't sleep. The sound of the gunshot echoed in her mind. Ethan sat nearby, cleaning his rifle. You saved your life, he said. And crossed a line, she replied. He nodded. Freedom always costs something. She stared into the fire. Will you regret helping me? Ethan met her gaze. No. Outside, the land watched silently. The Wild West had taken notice. And it never forgot those who fought back. The ranch felt different after the gunfire. The air still carried the sharp smell of smoke and fear. Broken wood lay scattered near the porch, a reminder that hiding was no longer an option. Gianna moved slowly, her hands trembling as she gathered spent shells from the dirt. Each one felt heavy. Ethan watched her from the doorway. You don't have to do that. I do, she replied. If I don't face it, it owns me. He nodded, understanding more than she realized. That night sleep came in fragments. Gianna woke at every sound, hand reaching instinctively for the knife beside her bed. When she finally rose before dawn, she found Ethan already awake, sitting by the fire. You always wake early, she said. Used to, he replied, before I lost my family. The words settled heavily between them. She sat across from him. You don't talk about them. Talking doesn't bring them back. Gianna studied the flames. Neither does silence. For a long moment he said nothing. Then quietly, Raiders, years ago I wasn't home. She felt the pain behind the words, sharp, buried, unchanged. That's why you helped me, she said softly. Ethan looked up. I helped you because you asked to live. But you stayed because you know what it's like to lose everything. He didn't deny it. As the sun rose, they worked side by side repairing the fence. No commands, no fear, just shared effort. It felt like building something more than wood and wire. Later, Gianna washed her hands at the creek, staring at her reflection. The woman looking back was not the one who had begged in the desert. She was stronger, still afraid but standing. Ethan joined her. They'll come again, he said. More men, maybe law this time. Gianna straightened. Then we decide what comes next. He raised an eyebrow. You mean we? She nodded. If I run, they hunt. If I stay, they fight. But if I choose, they don't own the ending. Ethan smiled faintly. You're not asking for a family anymore. No, she said. I'm building one. That night, as the wind swept across the land, Gianna slept without nightmares. Not because danger was gone, but because she wasn't facing it alone. The Wild West had tried to break her. Instead, it forged something unplanned. And somewhere beyond the hills, men prepared to return, unaware that the woman they hunted no longer begged to live. She had learned how to stand. The sound of horses arrived before the men did. Gianna froze mid-step, her hand tightening around the water bucket. The rhythm was different this time, steady, controlled, not hunters. Ethan stepped out onto the porch, eyes narrowed. "Law," he said quietly. 3 riders emerged from the dust. 2 wore badges. The third rode slightly behind them, his face hidden beneath a wide hat. Gianna's breath caught. She knew that posture, that voice when he spoke. Gianna. Her blood turned cold. Her father dismounted slowly, as if time still belonged to him. His eyes passed over her without warmth, only calculation. "I've come to take you home," he said. One of the lawmen cleared his throat. "We've had reports, claims of stolen property, violence." Ethan stepped forward. "She's not property." Her father laughed softly. "You don't understand our ways." Gianna did not hide. She walked past Ethan and stood alone in the open dirt. Her hands shook, but her voice didn't. "You sold me," she said, "for money." Her father's jaw tightened. "I did what was necessary." "For you," she replied, "not for me." The lawmen exchanged uneasy glances. "She ran," her father continued. "By our customs, she belongs to the man who paid." Gianna turned to the lawman. "If I belong to anyone, why am I standing here by choice?" Silence fell. One lawman looked at Ethan. "She's choosing to stay." "Yes," Ethan said, "and I'm not forcing her." Her father's eyes burned. "You think words make you free?" "No," Gianna answered, "actions do." She lifted her wrists, scars visible. "Is this law?" The younger lawman looked away. "This is a mess," the older one muttered. "No clear papers, no proof." Her father mounted his horse angrily. "This isn't finished." "I know," Gianna said, "but neither am I." The riders left, dust swallowing their retreat. Gianna's legs finally gave out. Ethan caught her. "You spoke," he said. "I didn't run," she whispered. That night the fire burned low. Ethan sharpened a blade. "They'll come again," he said, "with more men or law that doesn't listen." Gianna stared into the flames. "Then we don't wait." Ethan looked at her. "You're ready to leave." She shook her head. "I'm ready to choose." And in the Wild West, nothing was more dangerous than a woman who had found her voice. The night felt heavier than usual. Gianna sat by the dying fire, listening to the wind scrape across the land. Every sound felt like a warning. After the lawman left, sleep refused to come. Choice had replaced fear, and choice carried weight. Ethan rolled out a worn map on the table. "North," he said, "past the trade routes, fewer men who care about claims." Gianna studied the lines. For the first time, she wasn't looking for a place to hide. She was choosing where to go. "We leave before sunrise," she said. They packed quietly, food, water, ammunition, nothing extra. In the Wild West, survival traveled light. Before dawn, Gianna stepped outside and stared at the ranch. It had given her safety, but safety wasn't freedom if others could take it away. In town, wanted posters still hung from walls, marked with her face and a price. Gianna stopped in front of one, heart steady. She tore it down. Ethan watched as she pulled another, and another, paper ripped, faces vanished. Behind the stable, she struck a match and burned them. Flames curled upward, devouring the past. Ash fell like snow. "That woman is gone," Gianna said quietly. They rode out as the sun rose, painting the sky with fire. The land opened wide before them, dangerous, beautiful, honest. By noon, they spotted riders behind them. "They didn't listen," Ethan said. Gianna guided them off the main trail, leading the horses through rocky ground and shallow water. Her people's knowledge became their shield. Tracks disappeared. Pursuers slowed. By nightfall, the riders were gone. They camped beneath a sky filled with stars. Iana lay awake, staring upward. "I begged to live once," she said. "I won't do it again." Ethan smiled. "You won't have to." At dawn, a small frontier town appeared ahead. New faces, new risks, new beginnings. Iana mounted her horse, sitting tall. "Whatever waits," she said, "I meet it as myself." They rode forward, not as savior and survivor, but as equals. And behind them, the old world burned quietly away. The town was smaller than Iana imagined. A handful of wooden buildings, a quiet street, no wanted posters flapping in the wind, no eyes measuring her worth, just people living, surviving, minding their own lives. It felt ordinary, and that was exactly what made it powerful. Ethan slowed the horse. "This is as far as I planned," he said gently. "What you do next is yours." Iana dismounted and stood in the dust. For a moment, fear returned, not sharp like before, but cautious. Freedom had its own weight. No one chasing you also meant no one deciding for you. She took a breath. "I don't want to keep running," she said, "and I don't want to hide." Ethan nodded. "Then we stay." They found work easily. Ethan repaired fences and wagons. Iana helped at a small boarding house, learning more English, laughing carefully at first, then freely. People asked her name. She answered without hesitation, "Iana." No explanations followed. No past demanded payment. Nights were still hard. Sometimes she woke shaking, the memory of chains heavy in her chest. Ethan never asked questions. He simply sat nearby until the fear passed, not guarding her, standing with her. Weeks turned into months. One evening, a traveler brought news. A group of traders had been found dead in the desert after chasing someone who never returned. Iana listened quietly, then went back to her work. The past no longer needed her attention. Later that night, she stood outside under the stars, the same stars that once watched her beg for life. Ethan joined her. "You once said you'd give me a family." She smiled softly. "I was desperate." "And now?" he asked. "Now," she said, "I don't offer myself to survive. I choose who I stand with." He met her gaze. No promises, no ownership, just understanding. In time, they built a small home at the edge of town, not hidden, not defended by fear, just lived in. Iana planted herbs outside the door. Ethan repaired the roof. They shared meals, silence, laughter. One day, a frightened young woman arrived in town, eyes full of panic, asking for help. Iana recognized the look immediately. She stepped forward, offered water, space, choice. The cycle ended there. Years later, the Wild West would remember guns, outlaws, and bloodshed. But quietly, another story lived on. A woman once knelt in the desert, begging a cowboy not to shoot. She didn't trade her life for safety. She claimed it. And in a land that tried to own her, she built something stronger than fear. A family chosen, not bought.